This is Alexis Avila, captured at a moment that forever altered her life and that of her family. The bag she carelessly tossed into a dumpster contained the most innocent of creatures, abandoned to its fate on a frigid winter day with sub-zero temperatures. Fortunately, some individuals rummaging through the dumpster hours later heard the unexpected cry of a baby and sheltered it from the biting cold. They alerted the authorities, ensuring the baby's safety. This story, which we invite you to follow until the end, has shaken New Mexico and remains a topic of controversy. Every day, we coexist with evil and witness the darkest facets of human behavior. The suffering one individual inflicts on another is a persistent issue in our society. Criminal investigators will delve into this grim aspect of humanity, examining the most perverse crimes and seeking to understand the minds of those who commit the most horrific acts. Alexis Avila was born in December 2003 in the U.S. city of Hobbs, New Mexico, to Domingo and Martha Avila, a Latin American couple, seeking new opportunities in the United States. Details of Alexis' early life are scarce, but while attending high school in Hobbs, she began a relationship with a boy named Stephen Astorga, who was 16 years old. In June 2021, a troubling incident occurred when Stephen struck Alexis, prompting her parents to forbid her from seeing him again. However, the couple continued to meet in secret for a time, until their definitive breakup in August, after which they moved on with their lives. Alexis became increasingly anxious, leading her to eat compulsively. Her temperament deteriorated, and she began to act unusually. As the new year commenced, despite experiencing persistent back pain, the young girl seemed to navigate her life normally, even occasionally taking the family car for a drive, as she did on the evening of January 7th at 7:45 p.m. At 7:45 p.m. On the same night, January 7th, 2022, the Hobbs police received a call from a distressed individual reporting the discovery of a newborn baby inside a bag in a dumpster behind a shopping mall. During the conversation with the emergency operator, the call explained that while rummaging through the trash with two others, they had heard a faint whimper and initially thought it was a puppy. However, upon opening the bag, they found a baby with the umbilical cord still attached, wrapped in a dirty, wet washcloth. "Yes, it's making noise, it's a boy and he's still alive," the caller informed the operator. A woman who joined the call added that the little boy was cold and barely breathing. "He's freezing cold and he's very, very weak. I have him in my jacket. I took the wet towel off him," she reported, clearly distressed. Minutes later, police patrols flooded the area and the baby was placed in the care of the woman in her car. The fire department quickly transported him to a hospital in Hobbs before transferring him to a specialized health center in Texas with a neonatal intensive care unit. Upon evaluation, doctors found the baby's body temperature so low it was not registering, indicating severe hypothermia. They immediately covered him with special blankets to regulate his temperature and performed a blood transfusion, inserted a feeding tube from his nose to his stomach, and provided oxygen. And after extensive efforts, they managed to stabilize him, and miraculously, he survived. Meanwhile, as the newborn received treatment, police questioned the two men and the woman who discovered him. They explained that they often drove around local dumpsters, looking for valuables that people discarded. While searching, they heard a groaning sound emanating from one of the bags and realized it was a baby. They immediately placed the child in their car and turned on the heater to counteract the winter cold to which he had been exposed. The next step for the officers was to initiate an investigation to identify the individual responsible for such a cruel act. In that area, there was a store equipped with security cameras aimed at the dumpster, so the police approached the store owner and requested to view the recordings. Although he was under no obligation to comply, upon witnessing the officers' dismay, he sensed that something was amiss and granted them access to the footage. However, the first thing they verified was that the three individuals who discovered the baby were telling the truth, as one of the cameras captured the moment they arrived and began rummaging through the trash, their astonishment evident as they retrieved the black bag containing the baby. Going back a few hours in the recordings, the investigators noted that at around 2 p.m. a woman arrived in a white car, parked hastily near the three dumpsters, and exited the vehicle. She opened the back door, removed a black bag, and casually tossed it into the dumpster before getting back into her car. The detectives found this footage shocking. The woman acted with such nonchalance, as if she were merely disposing of trash. Based on the video timelines, they estimated that the baby had been in the dumpster for nearly 7 hours. Given the freezing temperatures that day, it was practically miraculous that he had been found alive. On examining the footage in detail, they obtained the car's license plate number. When they checked the registration, it led them to the Avila family's address. When the officers visited, Domingo and Martha Avila were somewhat taken aback by the unexpected visit. Upon viewing the footage, they recognized the young woman in the video as their 18-year-old daughter. However, they still struggled to comprehend the reason for the police's presence until they learned that their daughter had discarded a newborn baby in the dumpster. Both parents were stunned. At that time, Alexis was not at home, but her parents promised to locate her and bring her to the police station. Once there, Alexis explained that the situation had unfolded so suddenly that she didn't know how to react. Alexis explained that in the days leading up to the incident, she had been experiencing abdominal and back pains, which she dismissed as not unusual. Sometime earlier, she had been involved in a car accident that left her with several back problems, so she believed discomfort was related to that. So on January 4th, she decided to visit the hospital, where she was briefly examined by 2 on-call doctors who prescribed medication to alleviate her pain. However, her discomfort persisted, prompting her to return to the health center on January 6th. This time, the doctors conducted several tests, including a urine analysis, which revealed that she was pregnant. Alexis assured the detectives that, until that moment, she had been unaware of her pregnancy. For earlier in 2021, she had taken 2 pregnancy tests. One was negative and the other positive. She chose to believe the negative result, attributing her weight gain to increased appetite, and not noticing any significant changes in her body. Upon receiving confirmation of her pregnancy, Alexis's mind went blank. She struggled to remember the events of the next few hours, including the moment she discarded the baby into the dumpster. The only memory that surfaced was fainting after giving birth. When she regained consciousness, she cut the umbilical cord, wrapped the baby in a towel, and placed him in a plastic bag. After briefly cleaning the bathroom, she got in the car and drove around before ultimately deciding to dispose of the baby in the dumpster. When detectives asked her what she thought would happen to the baby after she abandoned him, Alexis fell silent and could not respond. She later laughed nervously, attributing her actions to her youth. She had just turned 18 and felt ill-equipped to handle the situation. During the interview, she asked the detective if the baby was okay, displaying signs of remorse for the first time as she let out a heavy sigh. Regarding the baby's father, Alexis revealed that he was a young man with whom she had been in a relationship until August 2021. Meanwhile, other officers were tasked with searching the Avila family's car. The search of the Avila family's car and Alexis's room yielded incriminating evidence, including clothes and a towel stained with blood, as well as reddish traces in the bathroom and various spots in the bedroom. The revelation of Alexis's confession, coupled with the discovery of this evidence, left her parents in shock. They were aware of her alleged stomach problems, but were unaware that these issues were a direct result of her pregnancy. Alexis was arrested and charged with attempted murder and child abuse. However, during her arraignment hearing, she pleaded not guilty to all charges. The judge set her bail at $10,000, stipulating that she remain under house arrest while awaiting trial. Consequently, the case became an open secret, generating significant media attention. Alexis's story captured headlines, and images of her in front of the dumpster went viral. The community was outraged by the circumstances and demanded severe punishment for her actions. In contrast, Martha, Alexis's mother, implored the public not to judge her daughter too harshly, emphasizing that anyone could make a mistake. She also indicated that their family had no intention of publicly sharing their version of events. As the media sought alternative narratives, testimonies and audio recordings began to surface that contradicted the statements made by Alexis and her family, particularly their claims of ignorance regarding her pregnancy. Some of Alexis's friends and classmates revealed that she had spoken about her pregnancy as early as late September or early October 2021. Another young woman alleged that Alexis had known about her pregnancy since April 2021, but had chosen not to continue with the pregnancy. A prominent news network aired a 911 call made by the Avila family, further complicating their narrative. The recording revealed that both Alexis and her mother were aware of her pregnancy. In this call, made on June 12, 2021, Alexis reported that she had been the victim of an assault. The audio also included her mother explaining to the operator that her daughter had been at a party where her boyfriend allegedly struck her in the face. In the background of the call, the sounds of the couple's argument echoed, with Martha's voice pleading for them to stop. Stephen's voice could also be heard, recounting that he and Alexis had been texting when she suddenly revealed her pregnancy. Following this revelation, he went to confront her, which escalated into violence, prompting her to leave. This revealing recording not only confirmed that the pregnancy had been discussed, but also highlighted the toxic nature of their teenage relationship. When questioned by the police, Stephen admitted that he was aware of Alexis's pregnancy. However, after their breakup in August 2021, she informed him that she had experienced a spontaneous miscarriage. This account was corroborated by her father, Oscar Astorga, 50, who shared messages between Stephen and himself discussing the lost pregnancy. Amid the controversy surrounding the case, the Astorga family sought custody of the newborn, who was recovering in a Texas hospital. Oscar, who operated a business providing services to the local oil and gas industry, expressed his desire to raise his grandson within the family, intending to name him Saul. Alexis's case reverberated across the nation, igniting heated debates within New Mexico communities and among lawmakers about the necessity of the state's safe haven law. So this law allows individuals to surrender an infant under 90 days old to designated safe locations, such as fire stations with ISTAs, without facing legal repercussions or questioning by authorities. It was designed to ensure that, in situations like Alexis's, the child could be placed in the care of a responsible party without the mother facing criminal charges. The Safe Haven Law, which began to be implemented in the United States in the early 2000s in response to the rising incidence of infant abandonment and related crimes, aimed to safeguard the lives of vulnerable children. Following the repercussions of the Alexis case, New Mexico legislators passed a bill in 2022 to expand the state's safe haven program and allocate funds for the installation of baby boxes, where newborns could be safely left in designated areas. Newborns could be left safely and anonymously, a provision that became increasingly relevant as Alexis's trial finally commenced in April 2023, more than a year after the events in question. In a New Mexico courtroom, 19-year-old Alexis faced charges, and her legal representative based the defense on the assertion that Alexis's actions were not premeditated. Instead, they were attributed to a previously undiagnosed mental health disorder that had hindered her from receiving adequate treatment. Her attorney contended that although Alexis's actions were reprehensible, they stemmed from her bipolar disorder. To support this claim, the defense presented a doctor who evaluated Alexis and testified that he had gathered comprehensive information about her background, including her work history and substance use. He expressed concern regarding Alexis's manner of speaking and conducted a quick cognitive linguistics test, revealing that she exhibited moderate attention deficits. The doctor noted that while Alexis had informed another physician that she had experienced her menstrual period during her pregnancy, he, as an expert, believed this to be impossible. He suggested that such a statement was indicative of denial, a clear symptom of bipolar disorder. He further argued that the hormonal fluctuations Alexis experienced during her pregnancy could have exacerbated her mood disorder. In rebuttal, the prosecution pointed out that both Alexis and her mother struggled to articulate their emotions effectively. They presented several witnesses, starting with the doctor who received the newborn at the Texas hospital. This physician testified that the infant was admitted in a fragile state, noting it was nearly miraculous that the baby had survived. A neonatologist also testified, discussing the baby's condition and the transition from nasal tube feeding to normal feeding. The expert revealed that the newborn had tested positive for opiates, a medication typically used for pain management or to induce sedation. In response, Alexis's lawyer referenced various prescriptions that her client had been taking for pain relief. The next witness for the prosecution was a detective from the Hubs Police Department who had interrogated the young woman. The state played a videotape of the interview, during which Alexis claimed she had only discovered her pregnancy the day before she was due to give birth. However, the detective testified that they had gathered ample statements and evidence indicating that Alexis had been aware of her pregnancy since at least June 2021. He further asserted that, in his opinion, Alexis's parents were either aware of the situation or at least suspected it. The prosecution also called Stephen to the stand, where he reiterated his knowledge of Alexis's pregnancy and subsequently claimed that she had experienced a spontaneous miscarriage. He recounted that the first time he saw his son was a week after the birth when he picked him up at the hospital. He described Saul as a beautiful and robust boy who was receiving treatment for asthma, with doctors suggesting he might have a heart murmur. The most anticipated moment of the trial came when Alexis herself took the stand to provide her testimony. She primarily indicated that she had been in bed due to back pain, and when she went to the bathroom, unexpectedly gave birth to the baby. She stated that she did not recall the birth itself and could not determine whether the newborn had fallen on the floor or into the toilet. Her next memory was of herself and her mother leaving the police station. Alexis testified that she did not fully grasp the gravity of her actions until 2 months after the incident, a realization she attributed to her participation in psychological therapy. During cross-examination by the state, she confirmed that the bag shown to her was the one she had used and that the baby was indeed hers. Regarding the pregnancy test she had taken in August 2021, she mentioned that she was only 18 years old and stated that she did not remember informing anyone about her pregnancy. After Alexis's testimony in April 2023, the defense concluded its case and moved for a directed on the charge of child abuse resulting in serious bodily injury. However, the judge denied the motion after considering Alexis's testimony, hearing closing arguments from both sides, and deliberating for over 2 hours. On April 14, 2023, the jury found 19-year-old Alexis Avila guilty of child abuse causing serious bodily injury and attempted first-degree murder. During the pre-sentencing hearing, Stephen reiterated his testimony, expressing that his son was a healthy, loving, and beautiful baby. He acknowledged the gravity of Alexis's actions, but remained hopeful that one day Saul would become someone important. Alexis's father, Sunday, also took the stand, imploring the judge for clemency for his daughter. He expressed his deep prayers for the day he could meet his grandson. When it was Martha's turn to speak, she urged the judge to consider Alexis's mental health issues, arguing that had her daughter been in a sound state of mind, she would never have committed such acts. She requested the lowest possible sentence, highlighting Alexis's lack of a criminal record, her mental health disorder, her age, and her cooperation with the judicial process. Alexis herself was the last to address the court. She apologized to her son and his family, lamenting that, although Saul had his father and paternal family, she had deprived him of the chance to be close to his maternal grandparents, who also loved him dearly. She expressed regret that the first hours of her son's life had been traumatic, fearing that, as he grew older, he would believe she did not love him. However, she assured him that this was far from the truth, as her love for him ran deep. In contrast, the prosecution argued for a significant sentence, asserting that Alexis had attempted to take her own son's life. Ultimately, on May 1, 2023, Alexis Avila was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Avila was sentenced to 18 years in prison, with an additional 2 years of probation. The judge stated that he considered Alexis's mental health issues and her age when reducing her sentence by granting her probation, allowing her to serve 16 years of imprisonment. Additionally, she was ordered to continue her medication treatment and pursue higher education while serving her sentence. The magistrate addressed Alexis, indicating that had it not been for divine intervention, she would have faced a much longer sentence for a murder charge, given the circumstances in which the baby could have died from hypothermia or starvation. In response, Alexis expressed her desire to learn how to cope with stress and anxiety to manage her emotions more healthily. She also expressed regret over missing out on her son's early years and acknowledged having denied her maternal love. So the sentence was devastating for the Avila family, who felt the weight of the actions she had committed. In contrast, Alexis's defense highlighted that she would be only 34 years old upon her release and emphasized the importance of ensuring access to therapy and education during her incarceration. Following the trial, Alexis's legal representative filed an appeal. On May 5, 2023, a motion for her release pending the appeal was submitted but initially denied. However, the attorney persisted, and on October 18th, the Court of Appeals overturned the previous decision. The judges concluded that Alexis was not a flight risk and allowed her to be released under the same pre-trial conditions, which required her to pay bail. Since that date, Alexis has been awaiting the ruling of the New Mexico Supreme Court regarding her appeal. The investigation into her case is expected to conclude by the end of September 2024. But as of now, there have been no updates. Meanwhile, 20-month-old Saul remains in the care of his father, Stephen, and his paternal grandparents. It is unknown whether the Avila family has been able to establish any contact with him. Alexis Avila's case caused significant controversy and commotion in New Mexico. It not only highlighted the difficulties and challenges faced by some young mothers, but also emphasized the importance of safe haven laws and the need for increased education and support in these cases. While some argued that her actions were unforgivable, others pointed out the necessity for empathy and understanding for a young woman who was clearly in a panic and desperation. So the judicial system attempted to balance justice with compassion, taking into account Alexis's mental health issues and youth when handing down her sentence. But what do you think? Do you believe her sentence was fair? We would love to read your comments, so dear audience, what are your thoughts on today's case? Your opinion is very important to us. Remember to always express it with the utmost respect for the victim, as well as for other viewers and for us who will be reading. Before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you think someone you know might be interested in it. Until the next criminal investigation, goodbye.